A business cannot succeed without having a skilled customer service department. They'd always lose their unhappy customers, right? Well, our next guest says it's no different for a romantic relationship as well. Marriage and family therapist Dr. Stephanie Weiland Knarr says that in order to resolve inevitable conflicts in your love life, you need to have somewhere to file your complaints. Could you please explain more about this, Dr. Weiland Knarr? Can I call you Dr. Stephanie?
Yes, please do.
Okay, thanks. So I was reading over the notes, and you say we need to have like a customer service counter for our relationship. Explain what that means exactly.
Well, so, customer service representatives, something that we can all relate to. We've all had that experience with a good representative where we bring a complaint to them and they do a great job, they value us, they make us feel awesome, and we leave the counter feeling like we're valued. And we've also all had those bad experiences where we're upset or agitated about something and the representative does a bad job and then things escalate. So, I like to really teach people to have what I call a relationship repair counter for their romantic relationships, which is basically a customer service counter for, all their personal relationships, their significant other, but also even other family members, friends, and even coworkers. That works really well.
So I picture Lucy sitting out there with her little makeshift, the doctor is in 5 cents for advice.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm picturing in a weird way.
Yes. I mean, actually, the location of the relationship repair counter isn't that important. What's more important is that there's a designated time. Us human beings, we don't do very well when someone brings a complaint to us and we're surprised. Our fight-flight reaction goes off. Right. So if people know that they're going to service a complaint, it goes much better. So I like people to ask their significant other, is the repair counter open and is now a good time? And that tends to make things calmer and help people to diffuse problems and concerns.
So kind of setting up a time, like, say Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock. This is going to be our time that if we need to voice a complaint, that the other person is going to be around to listen.
Right. I mean, it's awesome strategy. So it's definitely something I encourage couples to do is to have a designated time. I know earlier in my marriage, my husband and I know how to respond to each other's complaints and resolve them, but if we bring them up on a Friday night when we're exhausted, it tends to not go very well. So like we usually like to do Saturday or Sunday afternoons. And I think, every couple's different, so it's good to find that designated time.
Right. Now, does that help in keeping the other person from being defensive? Because I find that, if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I have a problem with the way you handled this, I think our initial response is to be like, well, you do this.
Right.
How do you teach us not to be defensive when somebody comes at us with a complaint?
Well, so I have 6 steps that I outline in my book, Relationship Repair for Couples, and that I teach couples in my private practice and in my workshops.
Okay.
And so 6 steps that actually help to not be defensive. The good customer service representative, they don't get defensive, right? They take certain steps. One of the first steps they take is they say, you're valuable to me here at our organization and we want to service your concern or service your complaint. That diffuses the emotions and it really sets the stage to be able to resolve a complaint and a concern, and I like people to do that as a first step with their significant other.
Right. So if your significant other comes up to you and says, I have a problem with this, their first response should be something positive like, well, you're really important to me. I want to talk to you about this. So doesn't it come back to the golden rule of listening and in hearing what your partner is saying?
Definitely. I mean, as far as kind of some rules for relationship repair, one of the rules is to not get defensive and not explain yourself. I mean, just think of if a manager at a restaurant came up to you, you were complaining about your food, and they started to explain all the reasons why everything that went wrong that day, that your food order got messed up.
You really
don't care. You don't care. So same with your partner. Instead of kind of explaining yourself or getting defensive or bringing up your own complaints, it's good to just respond with treating them with value and listening and then saying, how can I resolve this?
Now, is it good if you say Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, your partner's going to talk to you? When should you then piggyback on that? So, okay, we've satisfied your needs. Now it's time for mine. Should we wait till Sunday? Should we wait till the next week? Or do we just, hey, we're on a roll, let's do it all?
I mean, it depends on the couple, but most couples, I would say, it works best if sort of you switch roles. So one person does the service work, they're behind the counter, and they, resolve let's say I was going to resolve your complaints, Julie, you know, and then later when we're finished, then we would switch roles. I would be the complainant and you could service my concerns.
Okay. Now, we've established a time, but what about a room? Is there a particular room in the house that works best? Because I would think if you're in the bedroom, that might not work as well, and you know.
I mean, definitely one of the things is to not use the bedroom as a place to have complaints, because that's a, you know, a place that's supposed to be kind of for relaxation and intimacy. So it's good to have like a living area or a living space or maybe the kitchen table, but you know, each couple can decide for themselves, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in a specific room, but some couples do find that helpful.
Well, my parents have been married 57 years, and most of the time my mom's yapping away and my dad's in the garage, and it seems to work. So. All right, yeah. Dr. Stephanie, thank you so much. Thank you for coming in. Dr. Stephanie online for more information and for more information about the book as well.
Thank you.